Look, if you have a YouTube channel or planning on growing a YouTube channel, then obviously YouTube ads would be the way to go. However, if you're like most of our clients, you don't have a channel yet, or you're not quite sure if you even want to bother creating a YouTube channel, then Facebook ads might be your golden ticket. Either way, let's figure it out. Timestamps below, along with some other helpful links and resources, including a link to our YouTube Ads Playbook if you decide YouTube ads is the right way to go. Now, we'll kick things off with the ad format and the elephant in the room, because inevitably, if we're going to talk about YouTube versus Facebook ads, the first thing we need to address is this, what you're watching right now, video. It is incredibly hard to create video ads compared to a simple Facebook post where you slap together 500 words of text, a couple of images made in Canva, and you are good to go. So as an example, we'll go through a Facebook ads case study. Here's an example of a Facebook ad we're actually running right now, and I'll get into some stats in a little bit. But as you can see, it's a couple hundred words, spent a couple hours inside of Canva. I'll go through the actual times in a moment, creating some images for this ad, and it's live, it's ready, it's good to go, right? In less than 8 hours. Versus a YouTube video like this one. Now I won't play the audio because that would make things extra confusing, but I will leave a link in the cards in the description to our YouTube Ads Playbook that actually goes through a simple 90-second script that we use to quickly create YouTube videos, because let's face it, creating video takes a really long time. But the advantage is you don't really have to do much images or graphics. And hey, if you want to get started by just picking up your phone and recording a quick 90-second video and posting it to YouTube to see what happens, that's okay too. But either way, when it comes to the time differences, as you can see with a Facebook ad, it takes about 3 or 4 hours to write, a couple hours, well, actually more time for me inside of Canva to make the image, versus a YouTube video where you still have to write, you still have to make some graphics or images to kind of catch people's attention. Then you have the recording, and then you have the editing, and then you have adding captions, which you don't necessarily have to do, but I highly recommend it if you're running ads on YouTube, but you'd have to add captions on Facebook as well. So as you can see here, if we're looking at 25 hours versus 8 hours, obviously Facebook is going to be much faster in terms of the ad creative. And that's before we talk about all the other features and differences between the two platforms. But when it comes to time, this is the upfront investment that you're looking at. Now, what's really cool here, and a silver lining, is that 25 hours forces a lot of new advertisers to say, yeah, forget it. I'm just going to go over to Facebook, which is why it's arguably a lot more competitive over on Facebook than it is on YouTube. And so this large barrier to entry, I think, is actually a huge advantage, because if you're willing to spend that extra time to create that video, and yes, they do get easier as time goes on, that barrier to entry all of a sudden becomes an advantage for you. Now, when it comes to time, that's the first big element. And then the next one is probably cost. But before we get into the cost and how you might be paying with ads, let's quickly run through how these two platforms work, because they're almost identical at this point. So whichever platform you decide to use, you're going to create something called a campaign. This is kind of the top level of your ad account structure or organization. And then inside those campaigns, you're going to create ad groups or ad sets. And this is where you tell Facebook or YouTube who you want your ads to be seen by. And then you create your video ads or your text ads inside of each one of those ad groups or ad sets. This is just a super, super basic overview. Link in the cards in the description to much deeper dive guides on how to set up ads on both these platforms. And even though these structures look almost identical, Facebook is actually way easier to manage, because they actually allow you to set a budget at the ad set level. That's the second level on our diagram here, versus Google ads and YouTube ads that only allows you to set it at the campaign level. And long story short, without getting too over OCD or getting bogged down in the details that don't matter right now, that makes Facebook ads a lot easier to manage, because with YouTube ads, you'll have 5 or 6 campaigns for just one video or one offer. Whereas Facebook, you could do almost everything you need to inside of one campaign. It's a much less of a headache to try and stay organized. Okay, now that we understand how these two platforms are structured and all the stuff that you're going to deal with no matter what you choose, let's talk about cost, because that's the second big elephant in the room, right? First, we have time, and then we have cost. That seems to always be the two biggest factors. Well, long story short, both of these platforms wind up costing almost the same, but I will give you a definitive answer. But it kind of gets tricky, because the way that they charge you, or what they count as a view or impression or click or conversion, can vary quite a bit. For example, on Facebook, 3 seconds, that's a video view. On YouTube, someone could click your thumbnail and that could be a video view. Or someone could watch 30 seconds and then that's a video view. And then another type, it could be 5 seconds. So it can be really confusing to try and figure out like what's the cost per view or what's the cost per click. And so of course it's going to be highly dependent upon your niche or industry, but on average, you're going to find over time that your costs are going to be lower on YouTube. Because of that higher barrier to entry, there just seems to be less competition on this platform when it comes to running ads. And when it comes to how much specifically you're going to pay per view, per click, per 1,000 impressions, per conversion, that's going to be wholly dependent upon your niche. Sometimes you can get clicks for 50 cents in some niches. As an example, as a digital marketing agency, it costs us about $2 to $3 per conversion. That someone hits our site and actually gives us their email address, and it's $2 to $3, and that's across both platforms for us. But it will depend, and both of them have automated fancy bidding strategies where you essentially say, "Hey, I want to pay $5 for an email address," and then they'll try to do their best to deliver that result to you. Of course, you do have to be reasonable. You can't just say, "Hey, give me leads for 1 cent," right? That's probably not going to work out too well. Now, the next big difference comes to audience targeting and audience behavior. Because let's face it, when it comes to Facebook, most people on Facebook are probably just mindlessly scrolling, and we have to create an ad that interrupts that relaxation time or just interrupting them in between their dopamine hits as they keep looking for a post that they want to like. Versus YouTube, you're much more likely to be able to put your ads in front of people who are not only interested in what you have, but they're interested right now in this moment, because you're going to be able to target people based upon their interests, just like you can on Facebook. But the difference is you can target how-to keywords. So if someone's actively looking how to solve a problem, you can put your ad up in front of those types of videos. And so it's not only the right person, but it's also the right time. Now, YouTube gives you a tremendous amount of options when it comes to how to target. You can use keywords, you can target channels, you can target specific videos. Then they have their own custom audiences, lists that you can go through based on life events and behavior, because let's face it, Google's tracking way more than we want them to, and we might as well take advantage of it as business owners for now. And then you can also target people based upon websites that they're actively visiting. Like, it's kind of creepy how detailed you can still be with YouTube and Google ads. And so in that regard, YouTube gives you way more options. However, you may have seen or heard, depending on how much research you've been doing, that YouTube is taking away some of these features. And that's half true. So it actually depends upon the types of campaigns that you're running. Some of the campaign types, like conversion-focused campaigns, no longer give you the option of being as detailed as what I just described. But for the most part, if you're just running brand awareness or you're trying to figure out where your audience is, you still have all those options that Facebook has already taken away, which leads us to Facebook. Now, the bad news is Facebook Audience Insights tool that was super awesome was taken away almost a year ago now. And they seem to continue to reduce the amount of audiences that you can target, that is interests. Like say, hey, I want to target people who are interested in this particular magazine or this particular book or are actively engaged in this particular hobby. Those options continue to shrink on Facebook. However, you don't actually need them anymore because Facebook is really good at finding who you want. In fact, the ad that we showed you earlier that's getting $2.80, I think is around per lead. That's new email sign up. We don't have any targeting on that Facebook ad at all. We literally went to Facebook and said, hey, find people in the US over 25, show them this ad. And within 2 weeks, we had gotten our cost per lead from $9 all the way down to $3, doing pretty much nothing. That was all the Facebook algorithm doing the heavy lifting of finding out who actually wanted to engage with our ad. So even though Facebook doesn't have the same level of detail when it comes to who you can target, it winds up not mattering because you could literally just put your ad on Facebook and Facebook will find the people, if they exist, who are actually interested in your offer. So in this regard, in terms of targeting, Facebook's definitely going to win, not because they have more, but because they literally just do it for you. Now, something they're definitely not going to do for you is set up your account and page. So when it comes to the tech stuff, yes, we have to talk about the tech stuff here. They both have their big pros and cons. when it comes to just getting started with these platforms, is in how quickly can you log on for the first time, create your ad, and get it up and running. Well, on Facebook, you actually have to have a Facebook page. So if you don't already have a Facebook page, you're going to have to go set that up, which can be a little tedious and annoying because then you have people actually reaching out and contacting you on your Facebook page. And you're like, I don't want to use Facebook, but that's just kind of how it works when you run ads on Facebook. Versus YouTube, you don't actually need a channel. Well, you need to have one, but you don't have to actually be posting on it. So you create a channel and it's a lot faster than setting up your Facebook page. And then you can connect that to your Google Ads account and you'll be good to go. So in that regard, YouTube wins just by a little bit, but you probably set up a Facebook page sometime in your business and you're going to have to anyway. So it's kind of a wash. Now, one of the other things when it comes to setting up your account and ease of use of tech stuff, your ads might get disapproved. And this is where the two platforms differ drastically. So on YouTube, it's still kind of the Wild West. You've probably seen some YouTube ads and you go, this feels like a scam. Like, especially when you see those make money on Kindle or Amazon automation or new ones going around and just you can make money on YouTube without actually making videos, which, spoiler alert, they just steal other people's content and say that's okay. So whatever those the new make money online fad of the day is, those types of ads can run on YouTube, but they can't run on Facebook, which gets into the disapproval of ads. Facebook's going to be much more strict with what you can and cannot say and what you can and cannot do. And they have a long list of businesses that they would just not allow to run ads on their platform at all. Whereas YouTube, they're a lot more lenient. And even if you do break the rules, they're going to be much more helpful in terms of getting you back on track. That is assuming that you weren't trying to game the system in the first place, which please don't on either one of these because they will ban you. But Facebook is much more notorious for banning you, not telling you what the heck is going on, and giving you pretty much no insight on how to actually fix it. So in that regard, YouTube is much better as a platform. And then as a final personal note, after using these for almost 10 years now, I would say Facebook's just easier to use. There's a lot less options in there. And especially when it comes to audience targeting, where you don't actually have to do it, Facebook is just a much easier platform to learn versus Google Ads that has all the bells and whistles, and they just keep changing it so much. They seem to change it more than Facebook does, although that might just be viewership bias because I'm in Google Ads a lot more than Facebook ads. Now, finally, let's talk about experimenting and scaling and your data. So we'll quickly run through these. Both of these platforms don't really allow you to actively A/B split test. And what I mean by that is when you put ads on YouTube ads or Facebook ads, the algorithm's going to figure out which ad they think works best, and they're going to drive all the traffic to that. And unless you do some really OCD things with your budget management, which is totally not worth it at this point, you're not really going to know if ad A or B is better because they're just going to choose for you. And then you go, well, why'd you send all my traffic to this ad? And this ad only got like 3 views, right? They just won't tell you anymore. So if you are the type of person who really needs to know like exactly which ad is working and why it is, both of these platforms are definitely going to disappoint because they just want you to trust their black box algorithm. Now, the next thing when it comes to data, yes, the iOS 14 update of 2020 wreaked havoc on Facebook tracking, and it's not the same since, right? But the good news is both these platforms still allow you to put tracking codes on your site so you can track how many leads you're getting, how many sales you're getting. And for the most part, they're pretty good. Although you could just also put Google Analytics on your site as well, and you'd probably get all the information that you need. So if you're concerned about, is Facebook ads not going to work because of the tracking issues and iOS? Yes, they will still work, and you have plenty of data to make good decisions with. And the final consideration is your starting budget. So just something to keep in mind, whether you decide to go YouTube or Facebook, scaling is a lot harder on Facebook. So if you start at $5 or $10 a day, you can't just double your budget to 20. It's going to take quite a while for you to slowly work up. Whereas with YouTube ads, if you find one that works, you could double, triple the budget and your campaigns are still going to work. Although that's a problem way down the road, but just an FYI. So to summarize, if you are looking for an ad platform where you can spend arguably a weekend, get up and running, you only want to check it 1 or 2 times a week, maybe spend an hour or 2 every other week tweaking your ads, then Facebook is going to be your clear winner. You can get started for $5, $10 a day, sometimes even $250 depending upon your niche, but $5 a day is all you need to get started with Facebook. And it's just a much easier platform to tackle and manage. However, if you're ready to roll up your sleeves, you want a traffic source that's going to really deliver results for you over time, and you're willing to put in the effort that arguably 80 to 90% of other business owners simply just aren't, then YouTube ads is definitely the way to go. Obviously, I'm a little biased on this because I think obviously YouTube is the way to go, and I'm a huge fan of YouTube ads. So I'll leave a link in the cards and the description to our YouTube ads playbook that walks through a simple 90-second script so you know what to say in your ads, as well as how to properly structure them so that you get some awesome data insights and you can quickly scale and profit. But either way, I sincerely hope you got some value out of this video. You're much more aware of how these two platforms work, and hopefully you have a better idea of which one to start with. You definitely want to choose one and focus in on that because both of them are going to take quite a bit of time. So hit that like button, subscribe for more marketing guides just like this one, and until the next, keep building the business you love.